Welcome back to my channel. This is the third time that I'm attempting to record this. What is this? I set my camera up, was ready and raring to go, and then my camera was flashing red, so I was like, okay, great preparation from me. And then I put my camera battery on charge, edited the whole entire video, busied myself, put the camera battery back in, realised I hadn't turned the plug on at the wall. So I put it back on charge and now I'm back to film the video. It's a book related video. I've not done one of these before, but I feel like I'm going to start doing this every so often. Nice little sit down video, because I feel like I'm a fully fledged book reader now. So I've got a few books here. I'm going to talk through a couple books that I've finished, what I've kind of read so far since I've been a continuous reader, the book I'm currently reading, and then my kind of autumn TBR. So when I started to attempt to film this video the first time round, I had a beautiful pumpkin mug of cup of tea. I've since drank that. Not as autumnal, but I've treated myself to a crispy Pepsi Max. No one can convince me otherwise that there is a better Pepsi Coke drink than Pepsi Max. To break it down in less complicated terms, let me quickly show you the windowsill setup. This is soon to change because next week we are picking up our bookcase for the living room. So best believe that all of this is going on the bookcase. I'm slightly terrified though. I swear there's only 2 shelves, there might be 3, but I feel like it's going to fill the whole thing. So we'll have to see how we go. This is my current bedroom windowsill. I literally sleep right here. And so this is my read pile. So like I said, some of these books are from when I was at home. A good chunk there are from lockdown. I always keep the books that I like to read, or if I'd read them again. Books that I'm not so keen on or really didn't enjoy, I will pass on, charity shop, that kind of thing. This pile here in the middle is my to be read pile. But this bottom half of it are books that I wouldn't normally reach for. So I'm kind of like watering them down. Like I'll read a few happy books and then I might pop one of them in, but I've got to be in the right frame of mind for these types of books. I think we should start with the books that I have already read. I feel like that's a really good place to start. When I went on holiday this year to Ibiza, I didn't do as much reading because Ibiza was a little bit more of an active holiday. I went on holiday with a Bridgerton book, finished the Bridgerton book, and then I started this book. So I started it, came back to England and finished it off here. Confess by Colleen Hoover. People, I feel, either love or hate her books. I'm not sure where the controversy has come from. I really enjoyed this book. I think that for me, like I can't read a book that's overhyped, and this one I'd heard nothing about. So I read It Ends With Us before, or just as kind of the hype was brewing around that book, so it didn't ruin it for me. Like I didn't have many expectations for it, if that makes sense. I just saw it in a shop and thought it looked cute because it was pink. I hadn't actually read anything on it or seen it online. And I picked this to read at the end of my holiday because it was a little bit shorter, so I thought there is a chance I could finish it on this holiday, and if not, I'll only have a little bit to read when I get back. Look, it was a really easy to digest, fast-paced story. All of her books, of the ones I've read so far, are gripping from the off. They all have really emotional storylines, so it's really easy to be invested in them. It's pretty much about a girl called Auburn who's got a lot going on in her life, and she ends up crossing paths with this artist called Owen, and all of his art pieces are based on confessions. So people will anonymously confess and he'll create an art piece around that. And just the 2 characters and what's going on in their lives, it's really lovely. But Auburn's got some tough decisions to make. Really good. And if you want something that's quite a quick book to read, I mean, how many pages is that? It's a 306 page book. I'm gonna do like a star rating thing, and if you follow me on Instagram, I do actually post my books as I'm starting them, or as I'm finished, or as I finish them, onto my story, and I give them a star rating. And I saw someone do a really good breakdown of what their star rating means. So just to give you the vibes, if I was giving something 1 star, rubbish, horrendous. Can you give something 0 stars? I don't think so. So I'd go 1 star, wouldn't recommend, wouldn't read again, really struggled with the book, not a fan. 2 stars, would know it had potential, you know, it could see it going somewhere, but it just didn't. I wouldn't read it again, wouldn't recommend to a friend, basically. 3 stars would be, yeah, it's okay, it's a nice book, like that kind of vibe. 4 stars would be, I absolutely love it, would recommend to a friend. And then 5 stars would be, would absolutely not change anything, everybody has to read this book, read. That's how I feel about Bridgerton book number 3. So Confess for me would be a 4-star book. I don't think it's a 5-star. So moving on quickly, my next book after that, because I was so invested in Colleen Hoover, was Ugly Love. I'm not like a massive Colleen Hoover lover, but I just happened to have this book and I'd seen a lot of hype around the book and I had a lot of friends telling me to read the book. I really do like the book. I feel like I'd give it 4 stars. I'm not sure what it is that I'd change about it. And I know people either seem to love or hate this book, and I enjoyed it. I would give it 4 stars. I'd recommend it to a friend, but I think that it was so overhyped that I was expecting so much more, and I think that's what kind of ruined the book for me a little bit. But on reflection, it is a really lovely book. I cried still. This book, I cried 4 pages in with Confess. This book, it takes a little longer. You get to the very end of the book and yeah, there was a couple chapters that were just pulling on the old heartstrings. After I finished Ugly Love, I decided to pick up book 6 of the Bridgerton collection. Yeah, I'm slowly getting there. I've got 2 more books to read now, but I don't have either of them in my possession, so I'm going to get through some of the other books I've got. Book 6 is about Francesca. So she is, I think she must be she's child 6. And pretty much, if you don't know, each book follows a different child and their kind of romance, how like finding love, if they find love. For me, Julia Quinn is a genius on how she's written all these storylines, and obviously there's 2 more still to go yet. They're all intertwined and they all just make sense and they're all so different. And in my head I'm thinking, before she wrote these books, surely she came up with the concept of all books to intertwine, to make almost like a timeline of events before she even started writing the first one. Surely. I'd love, honestly, if I could have a conversation with Julia Quinn, I'd have a lot of questions to ask. And I feel like it's really hard to get a good dry sarcasm that doesn't come across a little bit cringy or a little bit overdone. It's just so subtle. Wouldn't give it 5, purely because it's not as good as book 3. Recently, me and my friend at work, we decided to make a little group chat on WhatsApp for like book recommendations and things. Boss is in there, my mum's in there, my auntie's in there, her friend's in there, someone I used to work with's in there, just through passing comments or talking about books, people replying to my story on Instagram. So we decided as well that each month we'd take it in turns to kind of say, oh, this is October's read. And there's no strings attached, no one has to do it. But I just thought it would be quite nice if people fancied it, reading along with each other. So I picked this as September's book because it is the author's debut novel, as far as I'm aware. I am just over halfway through. So this is completely different to anything I'd normally read. I don't think I've ever read a book that doesn't have romance in it. I thought I was picking a book that was very crime and thrillery, and it turns out that this book is very dry in terms of like the sense of humour. There's an underlying like romance storyline throughout this, but it's really weird because I find some of what happens in this really hard to believe. It's really weird because the book is so heavy on the whole men are predators thing. So it's really controversial kind of topics. And also, one thing that I really didn't like in the first few chapters is that Kitty Collins, the main character, she is like meant to be really big on Instagram, she's an influencer, but as it's written from her perspective, she comes across really arrogant and like I don't know how to explain it. She doesn't come across as a nice person. She comes across really arrogant. It kind of, the way that it's written, it'll be like, oh, there's this person, they've got this many followers. And I'm like, it feels quite surface level. There's not that, it's not got that emotional depth to make me care about the characters. I didn't find any of them likeable in the first few chapters. Unless she gets arrested at the end of this book, I don't know how the things that have happened she can get away with. But it's not overly gory. It does skip out a lot of the details. I would say it's probably verging between, at the minute, like a 2-3 starer. Now I come to you with my autumn TBR. Now I want to preface this by saying that I have one book that I'm going to pick up, but I'm on a book buying ban, and I say that really lightly because 2 of the books in this pile are brand new as of yesterday, so the ban's going really well. But there is one book that I have seen that's given the autumn vibes that I probably should have for like my October 1st read, and it's the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So I'm gonna have a look and see if they've got that in Waterstones for like the end of October, but I feel like that's still kind of festive, isn't it? Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is one of the books on my autumn TBR. Can't wait to rewatch all the Harry Potter films as well. I always wait till this time of the year because it's just a lot more cozy. Second book is one that I really liked. I haven't seen this actually online, although I have seen lots of covers that look similar to this. I read the blurb of this when I was just rooting through a few different books, and it just sounded really nice. It's basically about this girl called Catalina, and she's going to her sister's wedding, and her ex-boyfriend and his new fiance is going to be there. So she's lied about having an American boyfriend, and so basically she's left with 4 weeks to find someone, finding it really hard to find someone, and then she finds this person who she literally finds insufferable to be around. So I'm excited to see how that goes, because it's giving kind of like, oh, what's that film called? 10 Things I Hate About You. It's giving 10 Things I Hate About You. Next is a book that was recommended in the WhatsApp group. So this is called The Dog Stars by Peter Hellier. Let me read the blurb to this one, because I've not seen a lot about this, but the lady who recommended it, she literally said it's something that she will read annually because she loves the storyline. It says, Hig, bereaved and traumatized in the new wilderness of post-apocalyptic America, has 3 things to live for: his dog Jasper, his aggressive but resourceful fellow survivor Bangley, and his beloved Cessna aeroplane. Thanks to the plane, he has a lifeline. He can search for food and keep a watch for feral fellow outlaws. The problem is that not much fuel is left. But Hig's loneliness is becoming unbearable. When he picks up a message from another pilot, his longing to find someone who is still alive becomes irresistible, although he won't have enough fuel to get back. What follows is scarier and more life-affirming than he could have imagined, and his story, The Dog Stars, is a book unlike any you've ever read, a novel about the end of the world which makes you so glad to be alive. Is that not just... I'm really excited to read this book. The next book on my list is a book called The Switch by Beth O'Leary, and I've actually had this for quite a while. I got this after I read The Flatshare. Was there another one? No. Yeah, I picked this up after I read The Flatshare, and I also picked up The Road Trip. I really did not enjoy The Road Trip. It was such a long book and it literally felt like it didn't go anywhere. But The Flatshare I absolutely loved, and really need to find a way to watch the adaptation that's been made of it, because I'm assuming it'll be like 10 out of 10. Something that I am hopefully going to be picking up, and it's a little bit of a lighter read, so should be quite a quick one to get through. Something that I think is going to be my next book, another Colleen Hoover book, Reminders of Him, recommended by a friend. Not seen so much on this, so I don't feel like I've got any particular expectations. I'm just ready for a nice novel, you know, easy to digest, fast-paced, going back to a little bit of my comfort zone here. And then finally, a book again out of my comfort zone called The Maid. So this was recommended to me by someone at work, and they read more thriller, crime, drama type books, and that they said that this was just a 5-star book. Like, couldn't put it down, would highly recommend. I hope that this shows me a good side to a different genre of book, because currently all this is doing is affirming that romance novels are the best. Those 6 plus the Pumpkin Spice Cafe are my autumn TBR. Hopefully I'll get through these by the end of the year at the latest. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Leave me any recommendations down below. Similar series to the Hunger Games would be ideal, because I really like that and it'll be something different for me to read. And until then, I shall see you in my next video.